Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Instagram Collectors Roundtable, episode 13. My high school basketball number, which is always exciting. Happy to have everybody here. We are a day later than we usually go. We wanted to make sure we got as many people here, and sadly, we only have one more than last time, but that person is Alex. So, Alex, thanks for making it here after the last couple of weeks. And then, of course, Kelvin is back. And Mitch is back as well, rocking the best t-shirt of the four of us. So he's got that covered. And yeah, we're excited to be back here. It's been a week since we've talked to Billy from Upper Deck. I know we all really enjoyed that. That was a really cool experience, not just during the recording of the show, but the after part was pretty cool too. I was talking to Kelvin about that and just getting to know Billy a little bit more other than, his answers. But before we jump into all of our burning questions that we all have for each other. Alex, you were kind of in the background during the show. Do you have any thoughts about that episode and what you walked away with afterwards?
I was feeding for more when it came to the wrestling talk, because I knew he mentioned a couple of wrestling things, and then you guys kind of were just like, oh, okay. And if I was there, I would have been like asking him like 100 questions. So, but I enjoyed it. I kind of just liked that he pretty much answered everything you guys asked him, even if he didn't know the answer, except for the cup. No one ever answers anything about the cup. But I appreciated that he answered everything. Just if I was there, I would have asked him some wrestling questions, but can't be perfect,
It was tough to know that he was talking about that and to have you not there, because I know that you're pretty excited about it. You obviously have the press release for one of the most upcoming sets here, so that's pretty cool to get excited about that. Kelvin, I mean, we kind of talked about this off air a couple days ago, but overall, what were your kind of impressions about that? Looking back on it, were you pretty happy with how that all went? Talking to Billy.
Yeah, I was pretty happy. I got all the the PR answers that he can give, and then talk with the actual guy afterwards, which was fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I love that you asked the question that you knew he wouldn't answer, like, is Brodeur in Metal Universe or something like that. It's like, good for you, man. But that was great. What about you, Mitch? How did you feel about it?
Well, almost all my questions were about the subject that he's not allowed to talk about, the cup. So, I don't envy his position. I'm sure he has people hounding him about stuff that his boss tells him he's not allowed to talk about all the time. I think he was very generous with his time and information. I felt like he was telling us everything he felt like he could. And I felt like I was able to read between the lines of what he was saying enough to get a lot of valuable information about the cup anyway. So I was pretty happy with that.
Right. Well, especially when you are bringing up sets that were around, before he joined Upper Deck, and to have him be excited about it and talk about how they've evolved. And funny enough, right after we got done talking to him, what comes out 2 days later, but the official press release for the cup, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, they had to, right? Because that stuff got leaked or whatever.
Yeah.
The day before we talked to him, or the day of, I think. So, and we can definitely talk about that as that gets closer, because we saw some like really good quality pictures of all those sets that are coming out. And I think we're all pretty excited and whatever, it's 2 years too late. I don't care. I think it's great that it's still coming out. They could have easily scrapped it. So I'm really pumped to see what comes out of that. But we did our homework, we'll say, and we've got some questions that we're going to be asking one another. And it's kind of like we did the last time Alex was here, which was really cool. I thought that was great because all the questions were off the cuff. None of us knew they were coming. We didn't prepare for them, and we just kind of went for it. So I'm excited to talk to all you guys about that. So yeah, I'll get going here. I am just curious, looking forward to like what's coming out. You guys know that I'm always talking about that too. Now that we've seen the cup release and the wrestling release that's coming out, what particular set exactly are you really like, would you keep coming back to, whether it's from the cup or artifacts from Metal Universe? We keep talking about all these things coming out. What is something that you are the most excited about? Because maybe I'm missing out on one, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But yeah, whoever wants to go on that, what comes to mind?
I can start. For that wrestling set, so it's Metal Universe for AEW, so not WWE, because Upper Deck has AEW.
Right.
There's only been one wrestling PMG. I know, like, everyone loves PMGs. I like them. I don't love them as much as everyone. But having them in wrestling is kind of a little bit of a, I don't know. In my head, I kind of like, oh, I'm kind of intrigued now, because there's only been one wrestling PMG, and that's a Hulk Hogan one.
Right.
And that was released. Remember, like, the purple ones that had like Mike Tyson and Tiger Woods, I think.
Oh,
the original
employee
Tiger
one?
Woods, right?
Is it the employee ones? Like the
Yeah, the
purple one?
employee ones. 2000 and whenever it was 13 or whatever. So he's the only PMG, and those go for a lot of money. Now they do. Like 2 years ago, they were still like dirt cheap. So I'm kind of intrigued for wrestling that they're gonna have the PMGs, and from the sell sheet they're gonna have like the red, the green, and the gold 101s as well. So I'll probably be looking at some of the 101s because I like my rare cards. So yeah, there's supposed to be those, and they're gonna have all the parallels and all that stuff. So kind of curious. I'm gonna see kind of what they're
That's
going
cool.
for. I think those are pretty cool. Jambalaya.
Nice.
That's sick design.
Okay. Well, and this kind of gives us a little bit of a hint towards maybe what they're going to be bringing our way in hockey too.
100%.
So I was hoping these would come back at some point.
I think if you scroll down, I think there's Intimidation Nation autographs, but if there's stickers, then
they're stickers. Yeah.
Then
And that's using the design from last year's medal too, with the goaltenders. Yeah. Okay.
So like, sorry, go ahead.
Pretty much every Fleer product that Upper Deck's made, like post lockout, has had sticker autos.
Yeah.
So even like Metal Universe, I don't think it has any on card. I don't know like why it is like Fleer products in particular that they seem to be pretty strict about stickers.
Yeah. I know for the wrestling sets, like only one of them has come out. The other two have been delayed. And I think so. The one that's out, and then the two that are delayed, and now this one, all four I think are sticker autos. Like pretty much, like literally no hard sign autographs. So that's a little bit tough for me, especially as a hockey guy, like growing up with like SP Authentic and everything hard signed, right? So, or most of it. So it's a little tough for me, but it is what it is.
I don't think the major chases from those sets are the autographs either.
No
it's
chance.
Just like Fleer Retro, right, Kelvin? Like the Fleury autograph, there's a chance to get one of those. I'm like it's a sticker. It's kind of just thrown on there. Like
they don't look very good.
So I don't think that's what any of us really target when we look at those products, But they look great. That Jambalaya, first time I've seen that, so I'm glad you brought that up. Awesome.
I'm very intrigued.
Anybody else on that topic?
Yeah, for me, I'm not, most of the cards I buy and collect and get excited about are not cards that have been made, like we'll say, after COVID. But there is a product that Billy confirmed is going to be made that I am extremely excited about, SP Legends.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I'll pull that up for you here.
Yeah, so they very rarely make products without rookies, and I don't collect rookie cards, so I just like the stars and the Hall of Famers. So for them to make a product like this, I mean, really, there's like Legends Masterpiece and like mostly Splendor, but outside of that, there's not a lot of products that really feature like the Hall of Famer type of guys. So I'm hoping that they're not going to put in like some of the older guys that are like were not very good in the NHL that I've seen like in some other products. I'm not going to name names, but I think we all have some ideas in our head. So I'm hoping they really are like, all legends.
All right.
Like we won't know until we see the checklist, but it says February 2022. That's funny.
Yeah, that was pretty ambitious.
The art looked beautiful though.
I like that one. The Decagons looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat. Die cut and on card auto. I mean, that's a combination we really don't see that often. So and it looks foily, and I know Kelvin's already intrigued by that. So I mean, that caught my eye right away. I honestly, I think just it's neat to see them, like you're saying, Mitch, focusing on these guys, because again, this maybe allows them to not have to put them in so many other sets. They can have a whole set dedicated to getting tons of love for the legend guys, and then focus on more modern players. But I don't know, we had that debate as well when Billy was on.
Yeah.
So
I do think this will end up being a set that people really will develop a cult following for, because it seems like Legend Masterpieces, for example, people go crazy for those cards. So if they are able to execute it in a similar way to that, and that was a product that when it came out, it it's pretty affordable. It was like $100 a box, and the resale market on most of the cards, besides those super short printed ones, were pretty low. And they've recently started to garner a lot of appreciation. So I'm hoping some of that will bleed into this product.
Awesome. Well, that having a friend that's interested in a set that I'm 100% sure Marc-Andre Fleury is not going to be, and it's going to be really fun to watch this kind of excitement for this product build as it comes out, because it reminds me of kind of how Metal Universe went. People were kind of excited about it, and the boxes were expensive, but the PMGs weren't really selling super high, and all of a sudden, people just, the one-on-ones started getting pulled, and people really got attached to it when it got on EPAC, and the popularity for it just exploded. So I imagine this would probably do the same. I can't wait to see the checklist, man. That's going to be a fun reveal to do, and just to see who all gets on there. And I'm sure Tebow will be all over that checklist. We can definitely plan on that happening. No, but it'll be cool. Love the designs. So awesome. Awesome. All right, Kelvin. I know you've had plenty of time to think about this. So where are you at, dude? What's got you obviously hoping Brodeur is in it? Is there anything that's got you pretty excited?
I don't think nothing really tickles my fancy. I mean, Metal Universe, yeah, we'll see how it looks. Artifacts, I know Brodeur's in it. I'm not too big a fan of the base parallels. There's they made I don't even know how many, they're 15, something disgusting amount. No, thank you. Yeah. I'll pass on that. But there was he's in a subset called Black. I don't know if it's gonna be a UD Black base, or it's out of 5. So I'm curious about that.
Right.
But besides that, yeah, curious about the SP as well too. So it's just whatever Brodeur's in. I don't think there's a specific set I'm excited about. I'll take whatever he's in it.
All right. It is fun to be picky if he's got plenty of stuff in there. Those Black from Artifacts, it'll be cool when we see one of anybody get posted, if it's just the design of the card, if it's way unique compared to the base, if it's a different photo or whatever. But yeah, my Marc-Andre Fleury safe search will be full of Artifacts for the next few months, I'm sure. The next couple, it'll just be the same card over and over, but that's fine. At least it'll be better than the same things I keep seeing over and over again. So, well, I'm sitting here looking at the cup, and I'm going to share this with everybody who hasn't seen this already. You guys have seen this plenty of times, so we'll have to, you'll have to forgive me. I'll go quick. Just looking through here, we've talked about all these cards because we did the cup episode, but when I went and saw this and it said rookies only, I have to say that I would have loved for these to be vets too, unless I missed out that they're also doing vets. I'm really curious to see how these do, because this design, obviously, with Mitch, he's that was the first thing that caught your eye, right? This one right here. Oh, hold on, Mitch. Oh. Can you Mitch, you're muted there, dude.
Sorry. I was gonna, if those have veteran equivalents, those will be huge cards. I mean, I'm sure the rookie ones will be too, but those in veteran parallels, I imagine, would be gigantic cards. The Gretzky version of the RPA from that year is one of the biggest Gretzky cards that exists, at least for patch autographs. That's a 5-figure card very easily. So I imagine if they had a Gretzky for them in logos, that would be similarly highly valued. Maybe not quite as much because that one has an Oilers patch, and I don't think they have any Oilers none left, but it would be a huge card.
Well, and it says rookie auto patch retros. I'm thinking this is going to be, that Fleury that I really like, and we've all shared our I think it'll be like that for the veterans, and then it just says exquisite limited logos right here. This does not say rookies only. So I'm intrigued, man. This checklist drop is going to be a big one for me. I sure hope I'll have time to sit down and like slowly work through it. But this whole thing has got me really excited because I wasn't really collecting the way I am now. When the first cup came out, I was slowly getting into it. And so, but yeah, I mean, there's some new stuff in here. You know, we saw the limited logos, which are smaller, but if you have nice chunks in here and really good rainbow foil, I think these will be just fine. The Brilliance, obviously, those always look really cool. I was sleeving everything up last night and I saw the Flurry. It was the vertical one, and they're cool cards to look at, you know, but these, I'm intrigued to see how cool these look too. I mean, I'm, you know, obviously not collecting anybody in here, but the goal, I'm always a sucker for the pens that are different colors. So yeah, really excited to see how these turn out. And, yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Hopefully this happens on time. I'm crossing my fingers. November 16th.
See about that.
Yeah, we'll see, as all the parents like to say. But yeah, so that's got me really, really, really excited. But you know, I guess we'll just have to put that on the back burner for a couple months. So
yes, sir.
Awesome, fun first topic.
Yeah, I like that one. So I'll go with my first question. I think I kind of alluded to this in one of the earlier episodes, or I don't think we actually like went around and talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was curious, is there a card that you guys have like either you've passed over or for whatever reason, or just you couldn't get your hands on one, but like, and before it was actually attainable, but you didn't get it, and now it's like completely like just gone way too high, and you can't even like think about affording it. Because I've definitely had a couple of those. Because like I know, like Mitch, you have like the Crosby and Ovi cards from the Cup, like from back in the day, and I'm sure if you want to go buy those now, you might not easily be able to afford those. But like before, they were probably a couple $100s for like the Crosby and Ovies.
Yeah, they were the 0506 rookie year signature patches were I think I paid like $280 for Ovechkin.
Right.
I know the last one sold privately for $5,500. And then the Crosby I think was like $340. For most of my life, Crosby's had like a higher hobby value than Ovechkin until recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are like both like $5,000-ish.
Yeah. So like those are cards that you got for cheap. So you actually were able to get them. But I'm thinking like what are the ones that you didn't get, and then maybe they've skyrocketed kind of like those cards. I'm sure we all have some decent examples of that.
Yeah. I mean, this one's the easiest choice. Kelvin, don't smile too much. When this came available, it's out of 5. When it became available, I'm like, this is kind of a gimmicky card, you know, like $300. That's ridiculous. Why would anybody pay that for that card? It will not be that cheap next time it shows up, if it ever does, and it likely won't ever show up again because I know where all of them are. I think, or excuse me, 4 of them. I know where 4 of them are at. So this is not attainable, and it will be very expensive. So that was my easy choice. I mean, that was hands down. I kick myself in the you-know-what all the time when I think about that card, and I try not to think about it very often because of that.
What range do you think? I know, like, it's hard to say because 4 of them are locked up. But what range do you think that card goes for if it were to hit the open market?
Well, I think my only chance is if I can convince a good friend of mine, well, not a good friend, but a friend that's a Flurry collector in Australia where I got my Artifacts card from. I think if I offered the same price as that Buried Treasure, I don't really want to say how much I paid for that right now yet, but I think in that range, you know, if you remember what that sold for, I think in it would be close to that, maybe a little bit less. Kelvin, what do you think? If the Brodeur came up, would it be in that same range, you think?
When it first sold, it went like, because that's when the guy, I think he had the full, like not the full set, but he had a good amount of set.
Yeah.
And then the first time around, the Brodeur went for like $800 or $900 Canadian, yeah. And then the second one dropped to like 500 or just under 500, and that's the one I snagged. So I think you can say anywhere in between that.
Yeah, it's definitely Canadian up in that price range. Yeah, I think. I mean, it's definitely not never going to happen if it becomes available, but I just don't think it'll ever become available. That's where I'm basing mine off of. You know, those cards out of 5, you guys know, like when they come up now, that's likely going to be your only shot at it, because there's some passionate player collectors out there. And so I have to really be careful with that stuff. But anyway, that's my answer.
Awesome.
I don't know if maybe this is like not in the spirit of the question, but there's a card I've like wanted like my whole life, and I've just never seen a copy of it. It's the John Beliveau 0506 The Cup honorable numbers out of 4.
Right.
I just want to see it. Like I would do anything for it, but I've just never even seen what it looks like. I'm sure they're all in Quebec somewhere, but I would really, really love to just see what that card looks like, because the scripted swatches of Beliveau are like the patches are amazing. They're from like a 60s All-Star game.
Super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you have time, there's always a show that in Quebec that happens like a couple weeks before the expo. It's called the Anti-Expo, and that's where a lot of the Quebec collectors go. And I don't know how many people actually know about it, but I mean, that's a decent sized show, and that's when a lot of the big Quebec collectors come out. So
it's a road trip.
Yeah.
It's far.
Okay, I have a real answer that like directly answers the question you had. It is an Ovechkin limited logos, probably 0708. That was a card that forever was like $200, $300. And now it's probably like 5,000. People really like that year in particular. It's the only vertical one, which most of the exquisite basketball limited logos, maybe all of them, are vertical. So it has like more of that like basketball brand equity, which is really big for the cup. But yeah, those cards, like people that own them seem to shop them all the time, but it's still like very expensive compared to what it was like maybe like 3-4 years ago. It was only a couple $100.
I always see those cards. They like you said, they kind of just I feel like they always just bounce around from a certain group of collectors. It's like they've gone into that tier and then they kind of just bounce around in that tier. So if you don't get it, like when it hits eBay or whatever through a private sale, like you ain't getting it.
Yeah, I mean, I know of like 3 copies I could buy right now, but I just don't want to pay up for it because I know how cheap they were. But I know I shouldn't think like that. But
I will say that, and I had this discussion with Logan actually before the roundtable came back about a year ago. This time I told Logan, I said, hey, dude, I think I need to get as many Fleury Cup cards as I can now, because I'm looking at the trends. And Mitch, you know this better than anybody because the Cup is your wheelhouse. The demand for those cards and how, I don't want to say fast they sell, but like if you ever want to grab some cards that are going to gain value of a player, you need to get the Cup cards now, especially some of those older ones, like getting that original limited logos, original for Fleury, the vertical one. I mean, that was a huge want for me. And I got lucky and found a guy that had, Kelvin remembers, had just about every Fleury I could want. It was a priority to grab as many Cup cards, especially the older ones, as I could, because all I saw was value increasing on all those older ones. And so that was a huge priority. And it sounds like I made the right choice because they just seem to be some of the most desirable, highly collected, well-priced, maintaining value. It checks all the boxes and they look amazing. So, that's, I mean, I'm not surprised they're going for that much. I do think some of the prices I see, like, because it's a Crosby limited logos, I'm just like, dang, that same card of Fleury is like $500, and that's a $8,000 card of Crosby. Like, thank God I don't love Sidney Crosby, dude. I'd be in trouble. I wouldn't be able to buy anything, Yeah. So
that's true.
Anyway, sorry, I just had to mention that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I think mine would be all Cup cards too, because I passed on so many of them. They're so cheap, like 0809 emblems of endorsement. That's when I think that's when Berter inscribed 552 wins. Same with 809 chirography. Like the 0910 honorable numbers, all limited logos, like the triple with Waugh, Fleury, and Berter that me and Matt both want.
Oh gosh!
Even like OPG Premier, they have I think the quad with I forget who the 4th goalie is. Hasek, I think.
Is it
Was it
Hasek
Hasek?
or Bob?
Well, there's a quad with Steve Mason on it.
Steve Mason, yeah, that's
Yes.
the one. Yeah, I knew it was like random. I was like, it's someone random. I totally forget it, but yeah, that one's out of 10. Yeah, like all those cards. They were cheaper, but like at the time it was like, I think I was a student. I was just like, ugh, I don't know if I want to spend. And then I look back at the prices. I'm like, man, these prices are so good. Why did I not buy them?
Oh man, I hope. Well, maybe not, but it would be interesting that 5 years from now, hopefully, we're all talking and doing this or whatever. We can look back and go, man, I can't believe that Mitch and you and everybody else got these cards for the price we did. Thank goodness we bought them when we did, because it could be going up still. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to look at, right? I doubt we're going to see the same jump like we did from pre-COVID, but you never know.
Never know. So mine is so I've always loved Ovechkin and Crosby because I was like at 15 or whatever when they came onto the scene. So I always wanted one of the ice rookies, like Upper Deck Ice out of 99 of Ovechkin. But I always knew that like I can never, even when it came out, that card was
1,000. It was 1,000.
Yeah, it was over 1,000 for sure. So like I definitely couldn't afford that. Yeah. So that one's always been like in a higher class, and now they're like like 10 G's or whatever. So I can't afford that. But
Yeah.
I think I mentioned the story like briefly in another episode. But the SP Authentic Future Watch, I always wanted one of those. Didn't get it. I could have bought one for like $350 or whatever, like in 2017 or 18 on Hobby Insider forums. I was like, no, I want I want a graded copy for whatever reason, and I never say that because I if it's raw, it's beautiful for me.
Yeah.
Didn't buy it. I actually bought a Cristiano Ronaldo autograph instead.
Oh, it's a pretty nice one still.
Which that card is probably worth like $4 or $5 now, which is nice. But the OV Future Watch, like now you can't even get that card for less than probably $5, $6, $7, $8,000. So I probably never pony up for that card, to be honest.
That's a great question though, man. Just to see like the gain in value over the last 5 years is just astronomical. Like nobody would have predicted that.
No, and there's so many cards that like I can't justify knowing what they sold for.
Yeah,
I just can't justify like going. There's some cards if they were worth like 200 before, and now they're like 500. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. But if it's a card that you can get for 200-300, and now they've gone like 10x, 20x, 30x, I'm like, nope, no, thank you.
I remember when 0506 Ice came out, and Ice was not a popular product. It wasn't the first year of Ice, but it really had it was just not a product anyone cared about. But my LCS owner opened a box and pulled the Crosby at a 99, and he told me he sold it for $1,000. And I remember thinking like this was in 2006, and I was like, oh my god, like who would pay $1,000 for a rookie card? Like I just couldn't believe it. And then I don't think we realized at the time how rare the out of 99 rookies were from Ice. You won't even get like one per case. They're very,
you don't?
No.
Oh wow.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Wow.
It's like multiple cases. Yeah.
Maybe like 4 or 5 cases will have like one in every 4 or 5. Will
Dang.
have. Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you open like a box of Ice, like your ROI is like from 0506, your ROI is gonna be very low. Like there's so many dud boxes.
It was a bad product to open. Like there's so many duds. You're just gambling for the 99.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
they were tough at $60. Imagine now, like, come on.
yeah, that's the gamble no man or woman or person should take, and that's just not smart. Not at all. I know that buying the Flurry for 500 back, it was at auction. It was $499 opening bid. I'm like, nobody's gonna bid on this except me. But I made that a target because if you do your research on rookie cards, you're like, there's one for sale, and the guy wants 15,000 or best offer for it. Like, okay, these must be really tough. And then you learn, like you guys said. I didn't realize there were not one per case. I figured that would be a draw, that you would buy a case knowing you would get one out of there.
No.
How many rookies were out of 99 out of the whole checklist? Did they do 5 or 4?
No, I think
It depends on the year. Some had.
Oh yeah,
others.
it depends on the year. But for 0506, I think it was just Crosby and Ovechkin.
That was it. Okay.
Oh, and Fanuf, I think.
No, he was
that-
level 2. He was
Oh, he
level
was
2.
level 2?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I pulled one actually.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
I think
man.
maybe Jeff Carter.
Okay.
Let's take a look.
I might
No, I
just-
think Carter was level.
There's 6. There's actually
Oh,
6.
there's
Oh,
six.
wow.
One of them was like Gilbert Brule or something.
Gilbert
probably.
Brule,
Oh.
Thomas Vanek, Jeff Carter, Corey Perry.
Okay, yeah.
Corey Perry, isn't that somebody's favorite player in here? Yeah. Geez. Okay. All right.
Was Lundqvist
Cool.
level 3?
One was at 29.99.
So
I
level
think.
4.
Yeah.
4 then, yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
It's cool though, like to see, where people had them ranked back in those days, to see how things have changed. They got Crosby and Ovechkin right, at least. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow, cool,
I mean,
great.
Jeff Carter's had a great career.
Yes, he has. Yeah, well-rounded career. Like he quietly, compared to some of the other guys, has done amazing. So I'll give him that for sure. Great topic, Alex. Love that one. Or should we just sit here and wait for Kelvin, see if he's actually gonna say anything?
He's not gonna say anything.
Wait, what? Did I miss something? I was like,
it's your turn.
Oh,
It's your turn.
okay.
He's over there checking that Twitter sale too. I think
I
that's
was.
what's going on.
100%.
See, I told you it was.
Shout out to Dan Vincent's stack sale.
Yeah.
Those things are insane.
They are insane.
Insane.
Make sure somebody sends me a link if a flurry happens in the
I think
private
there's
chat.
a flurry, but I can't tell if it's a
Yeah.
Prism Silver or not.
You still have the $3 cards. So
Oh yeah.
I'm just waiting.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Yes. Go ahead,
Yeah.
dude.
So my question is, do you guys have a card in your collection where over time you feel like you lost the love of for that card? Whether it be you just got tired of looking at it, or just kind of like it doesn't do anything for you, like since you got it.
Well, that's easy for me. My entire Martin Brodeur collection.
Heyo.
Hey, hold on. There it is. Here you go, Kelvin. And we'll just do that. There you go. Just take him right out of there.
The show looks so much better. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, shoot. Oh. Yeah.
Also for me though, it's like any cards that I collected that were that have a high pop. Like I have a rule now that I won't buy any cards that have more than 100 copies. So cards that like are not a chase became not fun to own.
That's fair.
Interesting.
It's
good to be focused, though.
It's very good. I wish I had that discipline
go-
to get something that's only out of 100, because like I do like the rare cards. Like if it's 10 or less or 5 or less, I'm like that's probably 75% of what I buy. And then there's that one card that I'm like, oh, like the Easy card that I put in the chat the other day. I'm like,
Nice.
there's probably thousands of those, but I want one. So I'm not disciplined when it comes to that.
So I don't know if I want to say I completely lost the love for this card. Kelvin is well aware why this card should have more love for me, but does not. Obviously, he's in his Stanley Cup setup, so that makes me love the card. I love the blue ink. It's who I got the card from and what had transpired afterwards that kills it. One of one Jim on Instagram. If any of you guys follow him, just go block him right now. That's all I'm saying. Somehow this card ended up in my collection, and then he scammed me for more money, and I still don't believe I own this card, but as I was sleeving cards up last night, I like look at it, and every time I look at it, I go like the Sideshow Bob when he gets hit in the head with the rake sound. If anybody knows that, where he does that.
Yeah.
Every time I look at that card, I do that, and that's why it's not in the display case. I've almost traded it or sold it a few times because it feels tainted, it came from just complete a-hole. So there you go. There's my rant for the day, but that's easily the card. Like, I love the picture, but I hate how I got it. So, yeah, there you go. There's my answer.
Nice.
I don't know if that's kind of what you were looking for, but like I should love that card so much because of the gear and the pen. But sometimes, man, when you buy a card or you overpay way too much for it, sometimes you look at it and you're just like, oh, dang it. So that's mine. That is mine.
I think for me, do you remember those like 0405 Heroes and Prospects Crosby cards of him in like on the Rimouski jersey? I think there's like an update. So I think there's 2 but it's the original one. I wish I could describe it better. But I remember like when that came out, I wanted one so bad because it's, it wasn't his rookie year yet. So I was opening like I didn't have money for boxes and stuff, but I was opening like packs. Couldn't afford it, like to buy it outright. But I guess I could if I just didn't buy packs. I would have been able to buy it. But
that sounds exciting.
Yeah, but I ended up buying one because I found one for cheap, and I love that card. I had it like in a screw down, like all that, back in the day. And then like it was worth like a decent amount of money back then. But like I still have it. I have the whole set with like the 4 Ovechkins and everything. But then I looked at the like values, and the cards are worth like $1, or like you can buy one for like $1 on eBay. Mm-hmm. So like back in the day, I love that card, but I still have it, and I like looking at it, but it's definitely not the same love that I had for it back in the day. It's a dime a dozen card, so.
Right. Too bad you didn't get to have the excitement of pulling one. That would have made it have a little more, right, like that value to you personally. Yeah. But still cool though. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I pulled 2 Crosby Young Guns the next year, so I can't.
Oh well, there you go. I think you made up for it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, I don't think I had a specific card, but like I definitely my target has shifted to like more rarer cards, like the cards that whatever, like say like a UD exclusives out of 100, like gold scripts. I still like those cards, but like it's almost like just a filler card, just something to add to the PC. It's just like into the void it goes, the bottomless pit of cards. So like I do like them, but like it doesn't give me any feelings. So I think it's for me the target shifted to more like the rare stuff. So
because it's a chase.
It's the chase.
That's where the fun is in the chase. So you're buying cards that anyone can get at any time. It's to me that's not fun. So that's why I have that rule.
I mean, I will just do my little chime in here and say, don't sleep on anything out of 100 or less from like MVP. Those things are tough as what to find of certain players. I don't know why, but you would think, oh yeah, there'll be like 5 flurries in a week up on eBay. No, like that gold script or whatever that took me a year to find, and that's was a tougher chase card than most cards out of 25, or even high glosses I got before that card showed up. So like, I think it kind of depends, but it goes both ways, right, Mitch? Like, I totally get it. Some of those cards, Kelvin, the ones out of 100, I'm like, yep, I'll get that within a week, but there are some of those scripts from MVP, especially like the contours cards, even the ones out of 250 are almost impossible to find for a decent price. So the chase is there, but you're right. It's not the same. And shoot, just because Kelvin got like 6 or 7 1-on-1s, and so he's like, oh, okay, these cards out of 100 don't mean anything anymore.
It's on them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, toss them into the box.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's Mitch. Did you have a chance to go?
Yeah, well, I said like my Brodeur cards. Well, I mean, I'm not even like just being mean to Calvin. Like I used to be like a diehard Brodeur collector, and now like my Brodeur collection is just in a box. I have like 3 of them like right next to me that I'm just giving to Calvin at the expo. So I just well, I mean, it's not like anything Brodeur did. I just stopped to get being a player collector really.
It'd be impossible for you to collect Brodeur the way you collect the cup and be able to afford that. I would think it would be really difficult.
Yeah, it would just be very different.
Mm-hmm.
I find player collecting like so nerve-wracking because if your guy does something horrible, then your whole collection is. Whereas like, if you set collect, you're always hedging against like the whole league.
Yeah,
true.
That's interesting. That's a really interesting perspective. Yeah, I guess I never really thought of that. But that's cool, though. You're right. I mean, there's a little bit less pressure, other than like there's the same pressure of that card out of 5 or something that comes up from a set that you need. I mean, you're fighting player collectors and set collectors for that card. Whereas when it comes up for me, I'm like, God, I hope a set collector doesn't need this card because, here we go. So it's
I mean,
it's interesting.
Well, I don't want to like. I don't like. it's not bad. Like, I don't want to like say like why I don't player collect anymore, because I know you guys are player collectors, so I don't want to like. But I like personally, like when I was player collecting, I almost felt like like an addict. Like I'm just like chasing like the next thing, and no matter how many cards of the player I got, I didn't have any like bigger sense of accomplishment. Whereas with set collecting, you like there's a defined number of cards, and you know exactly how far along you are. You can actually finish the set, and that's an amazing feeling. But you can never finish player collecting because there's always more cards you're never going to have.
Right.
I think that's where you need like a defined like want list.
Yep. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Because like I have my Grabowski collection, but like he's been out of the league for years, and he's a lower end player, right? So like kind of contrary to what you're saying, I know exactly what you're saying, Mitch, but like for my specific player, I have that finish line. But yeah, for Kelvin and Matt, like I can't even imagine. Like that's the same thing with Sakic, right? That's why I don't really collect them anymore, because there's like they made thousands every year. Like what do I get? And like, you know what I mean? It's hard to pick and choose, and I feel like you guys are probably in the same boat where it's kind of tough to like deciding what you want to not get as opposed to what you're gonna acquire.
Making that visual want list was huge. I mean, I've showed it to Kelvin, and that got us talking before about like, he's like, that's up on my want list. That one's not really up there. I mean, we have to have specific targets, right, Kelvin? I mean, is that kind of how you approach it, where you have a tiered like 1 through 10 or 1 through 20, so you know where things are gonna fall when they come up?
Well, I don't necessarily have them tiered. I remember I showed you, I had like a top 50 want list, but like the thing is, like, I also have like hundreds of cards that are not included in that list too. It's just like, it's like if I see a card that I haven't seen, it's just like a visual like bank in here. Like, okay, I know what cards I want, or like if I see them, I'll get. But like they just never show up, so it's hard to put them on a want list. You know, if I see them pop up, I'll make a move on it. But there are cards that do get filtered out a lot. Like, you know, if I see it all the time, you know, whatever it goes, I can pick it up cheap, you know, at the expo maybe, or down the road for a couple bucks. So it does make it better, but it doesn't help that they're still making a lot of cards. It does keep me interested, but at the same time, I think it's like I still like Broder, but like obviously not as much as I did as a kid. I'm sure me and Mitch have that same feeling, but it's almost, I wouldn't say like I pigeonholed myself, but it's kind of like the guy I know, you know, I liked him at one point, and you know, I built this collection. It feels like I wasted my effort if I were to like just let it go at some point.
Yeah, right.
So.
Well, when you pick somebody who's got, he's in every cool set that you can imagine. I mean, he's got so many cool cards in the cup and everywhere else. I mean, that's great topic, great discussion for sure. That was a fun one. Well,
okay, so my question, and I think your answers might be a little long-winded, but it's something that I'm like very curious about. For anyone that's like a real collector, and I consider all of you guys like real, like you're in this to collect, like you do for the enjoyment of collecting cards, which I really appreciate. And I'll also say I've been like toying around in my head with the idea of like having like a little mini podcast where like just have like one-on-one interviews with people who are like that, and just figuring out like how they became like that, like how did this happen. So I would just be curious, like, how did you guys go from being like a little, I imagine, or I don't know if you guys were like little kids or what, but like from the first time when you like were introduced to hockey cards to, you know, developing your, I guess maybe you could call it your taste or like your wants, like how did that happen, would be my question.
Before anybody answers, can we all get invites to this said podcast before we answer? That way we can summarize now and give the long-winded answer later.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Awesome.
And those were the nicest words that Mitch has ever said to any of us.
I know. I'm not sure what to do right
like,
now.
Whoa.
I go, hang on now. Are we getting compliments?
Let me record this.
That's a great question. Jeez. Wow.
Yeah, that is tough.
Because like you said, we could all talk for like 20 minutes each right now. And if you're going to do a podcast and have us answer and have us on at some point, I mean, I think I would love to hear everybody else's stories too, as well as yours, Mitch. I'll just, in my class, I'm always like, I know the kids want to tell me 5-minute answers. I'm like, okay, 30 seconds each, like everybody gets to go because 16 hands are in the air. So I'm going to stick to one of those types of answers. I owe a lot of my credit to my collecting to my father. He was into it when I was a kid. He put sets together. He had the Pinnacle set with the first masks, like the OG mask set. He loved hockey, and he loved telling me about hockey and taking me to the card store most of the time when I wasn't throwing a fit. So my love for collecting came from him, and it was not about the money. It was cool to look up my cards in the Beckett, but it was not about the money. It was always about the players and the pictures and how cool they looked. And I think that stayed with me even till now. I love going through the collection, being like, wow, look at that save Fleury's making there. That was from this game and this year, and they won it 4-2. I go that far with it. That's what keeps collecting really exciting for me always. And that's, I don't think that'll ever change. So that's a big part of who I am. And the money stuff it's unfortunately part of it because we have to pay for it, but it's not my motivation, as you know. So yeah, I give my dad a lot of credit for that. He brought me he's a collector at heart. He's got old Batman stuff from like the original movie. He had the old mask, the ridiculous looking rubber thing, and some toys and stuff. So like, yeah, it's a sentimental side for sure.
Super cool.
Wait, so let me clarify the question. So
all right.
I what I really want to know is like, how did you be like for you, Matt? The question would be like, how did you become the guy who like wants every Marc-Andre Fleury card? Like how did that happen? And same for like Kelvin and Alex.
Well, since I've already talked, when y'all go, and then we can come back.
Okay, sure.
Well, as you can see, my username is Josakic19, which is so sad. But I made the username in 2006 for YouTube, and then I kind of it's been my online persona for everything. So I kind of just stuck with it. Yeah, I think for me, I'm like a leech. I kind of like find a player that I really like, and I just kind of like stick on him. And so that's why when I was a kid, it was Joe Sakic. Like I loved those Avalanche teams with Forsberg and just Sakic's release and all that stuff. So I feel like with him, I just loved watching him. And then I'm a Leafs guy, so like Sergei Berezin back in the day, same thing with him. And then Mikhail Grabovski in 2008, he came to the Leafs, and I was like a teenager, so I just loved like his style. He was kind of crazy, like he's a little like oddball, like his personality, and then he hustled on the ice. So I'm like, I need to collect this guy. I love him. Same with Bargnani. He was not a hustler, but he
thought he was hustling.
He was number one pick, European, like for the Raptors. So like the same thing. And I feel like with me, even if these players have kind of fizzled out over time, I love them at one point. So this may be a little childish, but I love them at one point. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stick with them. And like Kelvin said, like with Renner, he's like, I'm kind of stuck collecting him now, right? Like I'm all these years. So what am I gonna do? Like stop collecting Mikhail Grabovski now? No one's gonna buy his cards off me. So I might as well just keep them. But yeah, I feel like I stick to a player, and then I just get kind of like obsessed with the chase. I feel like with those two guys in particular, like Bargnani and Grabovski, I have like very specific want lists, and yeah, I still have cards on the want list, so that's what keeps me going. Unless when those are done, then maybe I don't know what I'm gonna do.
You got your Metal Wrestling Universe sets to put together, baby. There you go.
Man. I have no money.
Well, no money to spend, but money invested. You got lots of that. So
maybe I'll sell some stuff.
Yeah, you got the expo too, so
don't even mention that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So I got back to serious collecting in like 2010. A big card I won actually was Taylor Hall. He won back-to-back Memorial Cups for my hometown, the Windsor Spitfires. So I wanted him. The first set, was certified, and I wanted to pull him. Obviously did not. And then it got me intrigued in hockey cards. I was like, oh, look at all this cool stuff. There's autographs and memes and all this stuff. So when I first got back into it, I don't think I had any direction at all. I mean, I had a goal as a kid to collect like every Broder card. I even printed out like 1 million pages of his checklist at one point.
On Beckett?
On Beckett, yeah.
I did it with Sakic, and I'm like, there's like 56 pages. I can't do this.
Yeah, yeah. There's a ton. I was like, I don't even want like half this stuff. I'm like, I don't even know why I printed it out, but I did that, and then it was always there for me. But like, I got sidetracked a ton. Like, obviously chasing the new stuff. Obviously you wanted Sagan and Hall back then, and then Ryan Nugent Hopkins eventually, and then the legend Nail Yakupov and all that. So year after year, I kept chasing it, but then I always had Brodeur as my core guy. I'll always pick up, and then I had side PCs of I like the wings since I was right next to the Joe Louis. So like I like Zetterberg, Datsuk, Lidstrom, Stevie, like all those guys, and then I also like Le Cavalier too. I like the Lightning because Le Cavalier was like my first big card. It was like a 98-99 Revolution card. He was like a big rookie, so then I ended up liking him and like St. Louis and Richards. So, and then from there on, it's kind of like I kind of felt scatterbrained where I didn't have like a true focus. I was like, oh, like I like these guys, but like these cards and these players are kind of whatever. And then at some point, I decided to just focus on Brodeur because I guess it was just the dream to always collect like as much cards as possible. So I guess that's my story.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like for me, like I said earlier, like growing up, it was just get every Brodeur card. And when I started, I was 5 when I started collecting Brodeur cards, and I really just tried to get like every Brodeur card I could. Like I still like to this day like in my box where all the Brodeur cards are, like there's like 100 base cards that are like in sleeves and top loaders because I just wanted all the cards. And then I remember when I got to like 300 cards of Brodeur, I think I was like maybe 11 or 12. And then I was like, all right, now that I felt like I must have like almost all of them. And I remember like I looked it up on Beckett. I'm like, all right, well, I gotta find like how many more I need. And then I saw that I was like, I still need like several thousand Brodeur cards. I was like, well, this is stupid. Like, what is even the point? Like, I'll never get all these cards. And then I kind of had like this like existential hobby crisis about like what like because I guess I knew like somewhere in my brain at that time I would never get every single Martin Brodeur card.
Yeah.
But until I like looked at that, I never like actually thought that it was impossible. But then I was like, well, this is impossible. Like, and I'm not going to be happy chasing a goal that is actually impossible. And by then, I had already started the 0506 Le Cup signature patch set. And that was so much more exciting because I had like the whole checklist like printed out. Like I would cross it out with a pen every time.
Yeah.
And I updated my my signature line on Cloud Chara's forums every time I got a new card. It would say like 30 out of 80. It said 84 at the time because that's how many cards I thought were in the set. There's 87, but like every time I got one, it would say, and I'd have like the percentage because I was a douchebag. So
Hey, I did that too.
Oh, that's awesome. Good for you, man. I'm glad that you can admit that. That's good. We all did stuff like
100%. I did that.
Yeah. So I was like, this is so much better, and like it's like I know like I can get all of these cards, and then like the day that I got my last card for that set was like otherworldly. Like it was just the most amazing feeling that I mean maybe if you're a player collector, if you get like I don't know like some big shield or something, you could maybe get
chase card. Yeah.
But like knowing I was like actually done, which actually ended up not being true because I've upgraded like half the cards anyway. But like knowing I had all of them.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I'll never be done.
Right.
But it was so like I then became like addicted to like that satisfaction of finishing that set. And I finished several sets since then, and I just find it way more satisfying. And like knowing like if I really like a set, I'm like, all right, I can tackle that. And then if I stop liking something, I can just give up on it. Like I don't feel like, oh well, I've already been collecting Brodeur cards for so long. I'm not just gonna. I have to keep buying them even though I don't want them. Like I was able to fight that. So I just have them in a box. I mean, I obviously did not have nearly as much like sunk into it, because cards are so much more valuable now. It'd be a lot harder to do it.
Right. Yeah. Well, now that you've all answered it correctly, and I did not, specifically, I guess I have a picture here of the first hockey poster that was ever on my wall, and it was this one right here. My dad got this for me. It was the Penguins championship. So I didn't really know much about hockey. He threw this on my wall, and I thought this guy right over here in the top left looked awesome. It's Tom Barrasso. He's wearing all this cool gear. He's got a cool mask. I'm like, well, who's that? And so my dad told me all about Tom Barrasso, and so it kind of transitioned into Fleury, right? He was the first overall pick. The Penguins were terrible. He was a young, energetic, fun-loving guy on the Penguins, and so from that moment on, even when I wasn't collecting still, I mean, he was the first guy I always checked in on when I went to watch hockey, and so I'm still, at a completely different place than all these sets coming out. All of you can be like, oh, well, seeing 50 artifact sets come out, whatever. I mean, a lot of this is still new for me. So you got to remember, like, yeah, the cards that are base cards and stuff maybe aren't as significant. But when I put the website up on my computer screen over here and I see all 6 of them from the base to the high gloss all next to each other, I'm like, that's pretty sick, because it's not a set necessarily, but it kind of is, right? I mean, I'm seeing the whole run of those 6. And so to complete that, you see the clear cut, the French, the base, and the high gloss and the exclusives, and knowing how tough some of those are to get, like, that case is still very much exciting for me. Like a blank back from Opeachy, that's like amazing when I can snag something like that because of how tough it is, sneaky tough. So I still have a lot of excitement just grabbing, the cheaper stuff but I always have a chase card from every release. That's been a goal of mine. That's just like you kind of do. I need one card from every release unless Fleury just has one, right? Like Platinum Portraits. That needs to be like the target card. So like the Band of Color, that was one that was huge. Like finally, the excitement of finding it and getting it in the mail was incredible. And so it's collecting Fleury. I mean, he's just an amazing guy. I mean, he sent me a stinking message, for crying out loud. How can you not love that? It's very easy to love collecting him, not only because of the cards, but because of the guy. So, I mean, there you go. Is that more of the answer you were looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I also I want to give a shout out to like a guy who is like, I would say like my favorite like player collector that's like on the internet.
I'm on the show, man.
Yeah, we're all here already, man. Like, what?
He's often a viewer. He might be here right now. Renner is
he's awesome. Fellow former teacher. That's right.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I like you can like his posts like ooze like the love of his cards and it's like his appreciation for like collecting and how much like he loves doing that is I strive for that level of appreciating cards.
Right. I love that you brought him up, because having conversations with him, it makes me, I don't want to say remember, but it also reminds me like, okay, I'm in it for the right reasons, because I can relate to a lot of the things he's saying about Jerome. I love that I could say, okay, Jerome McGill, this card, he's like, oh yeah, that's a picture of that card where he broke this record or scored this goal on this team. Like he's that in depth with his collection. And for me, yeah, #goals. Like that's where I'd like to get with Fleury, man. I mean, honestly, I love finding a picture that looks cool and being like, I'm going to look on Getty Images and find when this picture was taken. Oh, they beat the Flyers 3-2 and he's wearing the baby blue jersey. Like how sick is that? So great that you brought him up. He is definitely an inspiration to a lot of us, and awesome, such an awesome guy. He was on here when we talked to Mike Kramer, and that was so much fun. He loved it.
And talking to those kinds of people, like they almost make me like giddy. It's like I had a guy that messaged me like yesterday regarding, I posted a trio basketball card and Bosch was on it, and this guy messaged me and he collects Bosch, and we just started talking about like all these cool cards, like cool sets. He said the patch on the Bosch portion of the card is from like an all-star jersey that Upper Deck cut up. I'm like, oh, I had no clue. I haven't even looked at it like that closely. And then he sends me like all these other ones with like the other parts of that same jacket that he owns, and I was like, we just went down like a rabbit hole of like all these cool cards. And yeah, those conversations, they kind of like, they just make me so excited. I was looking through like my archives of like stuff, cards I don't have. I'm like,
Don't do that to yourself.
I did it last night.
Torture, man. I just
Cried
delete all
myself
the
to
images. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, well, that's that great topic, Mitch. I mean, yeah, I would love. I mean, not even myself, but I would love to see you get Al and Alex and Kelvin and all these other player collectors on here, and like with Grabowski, like that is as unique of a collection as you could get. But to hear why, the ins and outs of why, and to hear those discussions happen between the two of you, it would definitely get us to all think about like, okay, you know, maybe I never really thought that's another reason I play.
And that's what I want, because people like you, as present as people are on social media, you like very seldom hear like why people collectively collect.
Absolutely.
I'm very interested in.
I think you should definitely do that, and would love to follow that for sure. I am going to bid on something that ends in 30 seconds. It's not important, but I have to make sure I bid on it because it's too cheap, right?
How late are you going to bid?
3 seconds.
All right.
Yeah, I probably won't win it because it's like a break or something. But you know, I always try to get into one like here and there, especially when Fleury's got a like multitude of cards in there. What's cool is like when I get a lot of extra base cards, I like to give them out in my class as like little, you know, gifts and stuff for them.
Cool.
For them behaving very well. And okay, well, that didn't happen. The price went up a bunch at the very end. I'll get into the next one. Okay, so we're looking at an hour here. If we do another round of questions, like full-blown questions, we'll be at 2 hours. We probably want to avoid that. Let's go for like a round of maybe quicker answers that everybody can get to, and then we'll end with a little bit of a showcase. I think that would be fun. We all have a card we'd like to show. Okay, so for me, I like, you know, reminiscing a lot. So I want to know when's the last time you sat down with your cards and looked through them, and like what stood out about the collection as you were kind of looking through it and whatnot. I mean, has anybody done that recently? And if you have, like, what were you like? What was going through your head? Because that's what I did last night. I mean, the internet went out, so I'm like, well, I need to seal up all my, you know, superior fit sleeves. I got like 300 to do. Let's just sit down and do it. And every one, I looked at every single card for about 5-10 seconds and set it down and had music going and was just kind of, you know, in my own world, chilling and reminiscing about each card. Where did it come from? How did I get it? It was a fun experience. But I'm curious if anybody's done that recently and you know, what that was like for you.
Yeah, I did that 2 weeks ago. I mentioned I like really organized every single card that I had. It was very interesting. I mean, the most prominent thought was like, wow, I have a lot of cards that I don't want. But I hate selling cards. Like the process of like dealing with people and like selling cards that are like maybe $5 or like $10. I'd rather just have the box and not the cards. And then if people like I find out that they need them, I'll usually just give it to them. Like I don't even want to like, sure, I don't like this card. You like this card, you can have it. So that was like the primary thought, but it was like I have a lot of cards that I really wanted when I was like growing up. And I'm sure that's like a huge motivation for, I would say, most collectors is nostalgia. Mm-hmm. So like my primary wants are cup cards from 05, 06, 06, 07, and 07, 08, which is like when I was on Clouds and Chars forums every single day, I was the #1 poster on their website. And like that was like peak. Like that's how I got into like Clouds and Chars, because I posted a case break of 07, 08 the cup, and then those cards I thought were like just unbelievable. But I have so few of them besides like cards I was collecting for my set. But now I pick them up regularly, and I'm like, yeah, like I think about like a little kid who really wanted these cards, and now I have them. So I really appreciate the cards I have.
Awesome. I'll agree on both of those points. The selling can be a long process. You just got to stick with it. That's the best thing that I've learned. And vent your frustrations to your buddies. They'll agree with you, and then just move on with life. Oh, geez.
All my lower end stuff, I'm like at the expo, I'm probably just gonna hand it off to ComC, to be honest. Like I know the fees are gonna hurt a little, especially with the exchange rate. But like if I can just hand them a box in person for like 1,000 cards, then although like the two, like what you said, Mitch, the $2, $5 cards, it's like, especially being in Canada, it's so tough to sell them because to ship them in a bubble mailer is like way too expensive to the States. But I kind of forgot your question. I kind of I made that point and I'm like, oh, what was the question? Oh, sorry, last time I went through your cards.
Yeah.
I went through my cards like a couple weeks ago, but I have so when I look at my cards, I'm like, oh, this is great, and then I start going through them and I'm like, this is way too many, so I kind of get overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I kind of just look at my like core cards, and there's a lot of whenever I look at it, I always forget like that I have so much, and like especially with the Bargnani stuff, I have a lot of like super rare stuff. Again, nobody collects them anymore, but I have like tons of 101s and stuff like that to me, I'm kind of like desensitized. I look at it, I'm like, oh, nice. Kind of forgetting it's like a Topps Finest, like Super Fractor 101 and exquisite black rainbow 101, and I'm like, oh yeah, these are nice cards. But like back in the day, these were like $900, like $1,000 cards. But so yeah, I enjoy looking at them though. I always love looking at my cards, and I definitely when I'm going through it, I kind of forget a lot of the stuff that I have. So that's probably not a good thing, but
no, but I mean, like when you're going through those Bargnani 101s, did you ever stop and go like, oh yeah, I remember where I got that? Like this person hit up this person, yeah, didn't hit up me, and I got it. Like I think sometimes it's fun to sit back and just try to reminisce about the way that card ended up in the box or whatever you want to say in your collection. Like it's pretty cool. Think about that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I organized. Well, not really organized, but like kind of sorted like a couple weeks ago. And then the main takeaway I got was how much my collection grew in the past like 2 years. Like, I mean, I took a long break for I don't even know how many years, like a couple years, and just to see like these cards that I wanted, like a lot of goals finished this year. Finishing like the Flair Retro, being like one away from like the Gold Prism set, like all this stuff. I'm like, this is the stuff I was like dreaming about for like like since the release. So it was like 9 years. So. I think it's just crazy how much stuff and all these cards. Like it's always like a pipe dream, like that Masterpiece 101. Like I did not think it's just like, oh yeah, haha. It's the card that exists somewhere that I'll never get, but then pops up. So the takeaway is like grew, and then a lot of these cards came from like people from the community too. So that part is really cool too.
Awesome. Yeah, and this is a good point here as well. Did this happen to all of you when you were looking at a couple cards? You can't. Oh yeah, wait a second, hold on, that's in there
all the time.
Yeah, that definitely happened to me because even though I scanned everything in, there was I was telling Kelvin there's a bunch that need top loaders because they're those like 55 to I don't know what's that was it 75 like those kind of in betweens that I only have like 7 or 8 of. I was going through my box and there was a card that was sitting in a penny sleeve and there was a Pacific Rookie of Fleury. I totally forgot I had it in there, so threw it in the top loader. But yeah, that definitely has happened to me. I don't know. It was fun looking through everything, honestly, and thinking to myself, I like how much variety there is. Some nice autographs, some nice patches, some cool parallels. Like there's a little bit of everything in there, and that is what's fun for me. I do need to organize it like by year, and Kelvin and I had this discussion a couple of days ago. We're both the type of guys that like if there's a big project that needs to be done, you're not just gonna like do a little bit and then walk away and then do a little bit and walk away. It has to be like once you get going, you're in it for like 4 hours. Like when I'm reorganizing the house or I'm cleaning the whole house or whatever. Once I do the dishes, then I do the vacuuming, and then I clean the counters, and then I clean the bathroom, and then I like it's just this whole big ordeal. So I usually once I get going, I'll be fine. But that's the next step is organizing it so it's in by year, and I can find a specific card within 30 seconds. That would be nice. So yeah, it was fun. It was really fun to look through everything again, and get it all sleeved up in those superior fit sleeves because now they're all protected. Those pro molds, they scratch so easy. So now I don't have to worry, about the ones in the box. Sweet.
It's my turn. I kind of lost the order here.
You can go ahead.
Don't worry, Kelvin just needs to make sure he's ready when it's his turn.
Mine is sports related. It's not necessarily card related, but I guess it kind of goes hand in hand because obviously we collect cards of our favorite sports players. What is like so we have all these moments from when we're kids and all that stuff that we remember. What would you say is your top like sporting like moment? Like not play, but like maybe your team winning a Stanley Cup or something like that. Like what's the pinnacle where you're like, man, this is the best feeling to be a sports fan at this exact second? Do you guys have any of that?
I was living in Toronto, but when the Raptors won the championship, that was electric. That was so electric.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That year was really insane. It was like I like the Raptors. I won't call myself a fan, but I like them because I wasn't obviously a fan of them during their really bad years. But I was on the city. I enjoy them. But man, the playoffs. I remember I had to watch every game. Whether we go out, we go to a bar or go to a restaurant. And, like the game has to be on. We got to watch it. And then I wanted to make it out to the. I think it was at Nathan Phillips, right? The celebration.
Yeah, it was like all down. Yeah. The ending point was there, but they went like all down Lake.
Yeah, they went all downtown. Yeah, and then I was like, oh,
madness.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'll make it downtown. I woke up and then I was like, oh yeah, TGC's like all shut down. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just stay. I'll just stay here. But I think that was probably just because like being in the city and then seeing a championship, I was like, wow, this is like, it was insane. And you see the cameras like the city and like it was like unbelievably crowded. But
the parade was very, 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 very crowded.
Did you make it?
Yeah, I went. I didn't go to like the ending point, like in Nathan Phillips Square, but I definitely went, and I actually took like a lot of pictures, like with my decent camera. So I got some pretty cool pictures, which like of Kawhi and Larry and all that stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
Great.
For me, so it's kind of complicated because I used to be like a diehard Blackhawks fan. And I've since renounced them after like Kyle Beach thing. But I can still think fondly from when I was a Blackhawks fan. So even though it wasn't the first cup, the second cup in 2013, I think, was maybe the most exciting for me because my uncle's next door neighbor here in Chicago was Dave Boland. So I got to like meet the Blackhawks one time because of him. And I have like a signed Blackhawks jersey of Dave Boland. And then I don't know if you guys remember, but the Blackhawks were up 3-2 against the Bruins in 2013 in the series. And then I think it was like 2-1 in the third, and the Blackhawks were down 2-1. And we scored like 2 goals in like 30 seconds or something, and Dave Boland had like the cup game winner. It was like a crazy goal. So like for it to be like my team, and then like I like kind of knew the guy who scored the game winning goal, and like I mean, and then the other moment will probably be like so I'm thinking of like 2 other sports moments which are like sad because we ultimately like lost. But like the first one will be Devin Hester's Super Bowl return touchdown. People love to like say like, oh, the best moment as a Bears fan is from a game that you guys lost, because there's like not been any other awesome Bears moments really. But and then as a Bulls fan, there was a game where Nate Robinson just like completely destroyed the Nets like out of nowhere in the playoffs, and that was like one of my favorite games I've ever seen.
He was very underrated. That dude could play some ball, man. He definitely. I mean, he got some credit when he played at times, but he was tough. He was tough as heck for a little guy. He was a good player. This is a 2-parter. So most people think, oh, it's got to be the game-winning save by Fleury. I'm sitting at my buddy's house. We're watching the game. He hates Crosby, by the way, so it made me happier that he always hates. You suck, Crosby. Anyway. like we're about a minute and a half behind live, and there's like 1 minute 45 seconds left in the game. I, like an idiot, I had my phone there. My phone goes off. My dad, well, they did it. So the save, I knew they won. So the save had like 0, like, oh, what a good save by Fleury. I did not get to experience the greatest save he's ever made in his life. And I told my dad this when he was here, and he was like, he was so upset with himself. He wasn't in a good place at that time. I feel bad for him. But to make up for it, I think for me, and because it involves my dad, is when the Seahawks destroyed the Denver Broncos. Like, they didn't just beat them, they dismantled them. And we won't talk about the year afterwards because Pete Carroll's an idiot and called the pass on the 1 yard line. But to see them, to have my dad, whose father, my grandfather, who passed away when I was 3, he loved the Seahawks so much. My grandpa did. Like, he cried when players got hurt. Like, that's the level of commitment he had. He never got to see them win. So my dad has some health issues, and to have him, he didn't get to see the game live, but to watch his team win the Super Bowl, I mean, he loves them more than anything. And not just to see them win, but to see them just completely dismantle Peyton Manning and the Broncos. Like, nobody thought that was going to happen. Nobody. And so that was amazing watching it, knowing that he was, extremely happy for that. And that's one of my greatest memories, because I loved that team too. I mean, I was 100% behind them, and to see them win that game, and the Richard Sherman tip against the Niners, that's up there for one of the coolest memories too, because that game was intense. And so, yep, that would be it. It maybe would have been Fleury or something if he'd have been playing instead of Matt frickin' Murray, but it won, so that's great. That's my answer.
Pretty cool. Yeah, mine. So if it wasn't for my top one, Kelvin, that the Raptors winning for sure would be number one. But so Portugal, the national team, won the Euro Cup. It's not the World Cup, but still like a big, obviously, tournament. So they won the Euro Cup in 2016, and that was the first time they've ever won anything. And like, I remember like 2004 Euro Cup, because like, I know you guys aren't. I know Kelvin's Canada, but here, like, we're Portuguese, so there's like a big Portuguese community here, and I'm European like background, so whenever it's like a big tournament, we're all in. Like, we're watching every game, like, you know what I mean? So awesome. In 04, the tournament was in Portugal, and they lost in the finals against like some brutal Greek team. So that like loss has always hurt us. But so Portugal won against France in France. So France was at home, and they won like on not like a buzzer beater, because there's no buzzer beaters in soccer anymore with no golden goal, but they scored in like extra time, and it was a 1-0 win, and everyone just partied, and it was absolutely insane. But I was working that day. I watched the whole game at work. Like, there's no way I was doing any work, but but I that's like my one regret, that I wish I wasn't at work, so I can actually go on the streets and like party and stuff, because I have like videos of like my dad with his like Portuguese bandana and like the huge flag, like waving it on the street. So yeah, definitely them winning the Euro is my top memory. Awesome. Top sporting moment. Yeah.
Actually, I just remembered one that you mentioned. Mitch and Matt might not like it, but the 2010 Olympics golden goal.
Yeah,
that was
amazing.
That was, yeah. I remember I was at a friend's house, all the family's there, and then we're like, oh God, I was like so nervous, like, oh God, please no. I was like, then yeah.
I was working that day as well, so I have a bad knack for that, I guess.
All good. Great topic. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
That was a fun one to reminisce about.
Oh, no worries.
My question, I guess, would be, since we're almost done 2022, what goals do you have left, at least card-wise, that you want to finish before the end of the year?
Well, mine I thought would be possible, and I'm growing skeptical that I'm going to do it by the end of the year, is finishing my 06-07, the Cubs signature patch set. I need 8 cards, but I've not seen one that I needed available for a reasonable price in a while. So I don't think I'm going to get all 8 within the next 3 months.
just prices just not been reasonable at all, huh?
Well, I just can't find them. Like I just don't know like where they are.
Right.
If I knew where they were, I would grab them. But who knows? Like, and they're just like random ones. Like Patrick Marlowe, I've just never seen.
Okay.
I know it exists because I've seen like historical comps for it. And same thing with Hatchick. I know one guy who has it, and he's like a diehard Hatchick collector. The only guy I know with an Aginla is Al, who I was like, I'll give you limited logos for it. He's like, I can't. Like, I'm like, all right, respect, but and then like the other ones, like there's something I could get if I really wanted to overpay for it, like Malkin and Ryan Smith, and I know where a Fear is I could overpay for, but I there's 75 of them, so I feel like I have to be patient.
Right. Mine's pretty easy. Add a card from the top 10. Add one more. I mean, I've crossed off 2 that I didn't think I maybe thought I'd find one, but to add both, when one's here, one's not. I think that just to add one more off the top 10 most wanted would be a nice, button to 2022. I'd be pretty happy with that for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I have so many want lists and stuff like that I don't think I can complete like any of those tasks, I guess, if I want to put it that way. But yeah, I don't think I have anything like that has to be till the end of 2022, because in the last 2 years or like a year, I've spent a lot of money, but I've acquired a lot of like really, really, really nice cards that I never thought I would ever add. Like big wrestling one last year, like a bunch of 101s that again I never thought I would ever own. So I think I'm like pretty good for heavy spending for the rest of the year, if that makes sense. Like the Expo is tough.
Good luck, and you're going with Kelvin, dude. He's gonna make you spend so much money.
I'm gonna avoid Kelvin.
I'm gonna hunt you down, buddy. You're done.
Like, hey, get over here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll have. Yeah, we'll see. 2022 might be a little bleak. The rest of it, card spending wise.
Right.
We'll see.
Good. That's good. Good reminder too. Don't forget what we have done in 2022. That's one thing that's fun to do on the YouTube channel is like a 2022 in review, because that's a whole year is quite a lot. When you go back and look at your posts from January, like, dude, I thought I got this like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, not 12 months ago or 11 months ago. So, yeah, that's a good reminder.
Yeah, I think I just have one card. I mean, I've never seen a picture of it. Don't know if it exists, but I need the 13-14 select gold freezers. I found the 101 before the gold, so
yeah.
I need the gold freezers, and then I'll have all the gold prisms that Birder has, all 8.
That's
and
amazing.
I'll be happy.
Nice.
That's amazing. Cool.
I say I won't spend money, but I'm definitely going to end up spending a lot of money. So.
There's no way. You'll not go to the expo with... Well, you'll leave the expo with an empty wallet, but there's no way you'll go in there and not spend money.
I got to give a shout out to Brady for that too, because like you said, Alex, Brady, when the new acetates came out, he does. People say this, we all do it. I'm not spending much money on acetate rookies right now. Picks up the Laffy. I really don't want to spend more than $50. Oh, here comes the Robertson. Like, I don't think he's got that. But for example, like all of us say that because we're really actually trying not to spend money, but then that card comes up and we're full of baloney. So yeah,
especially when you see the cards in your face and then you're like, well, it's right in front of me. I don't have to pay shipping and I can't say no. Yeah, right. I can't walk away from that card because if I walk, you walk away, it'll disappear. Someone else will buy it.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Anyway, I just had to make sure to say that because Brady's a great example. Great things show up when you say you're not buying stuff. Just to mention that to everybody out there.
Yep.
Just say I'm not buying anything right now. Boom. It'll happen.
Every time.
Yep.
All right. So my next. So this is a yes or no question, but there's a lot of room for elaborating. So my question, and it's kind of macabre, but the question is: do you guys think that you will die with your collections?
Oh baby.
I hope not. I hope that I have children that I can not only pass them on to, but who also love Marc-Andre Fleury. So those are two real big hopeful things.
But if they don't, will you keep it or will you sell it?
I will only sell it if I can find somebody who will love them as much or close to as much as I do. If not, then somebody in my family is going to have to hold on to them for me, because I have to know that they've gone where they will be loved. I would never do just a basic eBay sale with them. I could never do that, ever. There's my answer. So, no. Hopefully.
I hope not, but if I were to like pass and my cards are still with me, my family is screwed. Like, absolutely screwed. Where are you gonna dish out all these Bargnani and Grabowski cards? Like, good luck. Throw them into a lake or something.
Dang.
I'm kidding. Yeah. But yeah, I have a lot of volume, and I would like to think that, you know, as we get older, some cards they like gain value. Obviously, like, you know, Ovechkin, like Young Guns, I have like a bunch of those. One day I'll sell them and like upgrade to some other cards, or just buy, like, go on vacations. You know what I mean? Like, just when you're older.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a couple cards I'd like to, you know, just like pass down. I have a daughter now, so pass down to her, see what she wants to do with it. But then the other stuff, like, yeah, most of it, again, hopefully this is like years away. I just, you know, kind of move a little. Like, I won't keep everything. Downsize is what I should say.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily want to be buried with my cards. I do want someone to inherit them, but
yeah,
I don't know if, like, if I would, you know, I don't want to put a burden on, you know, my next of kin to, like, hey, you got to deal with this. You got to keep this collection. I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's probably better for them. Like, the money's probably better for them. So I will keep them close to me as near as death as possible, I guess is my answer.
I love when people say, "Oh, I'll die with this. Like, this card will be buried with me." I'm like,
yeah,
why, man?
Yeah,
yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Put the logo man in there when I'm dead. Like, how dumb is that?
There's got to be a part of people who, like, it would make me happier. Hey, you mentioned it, Kelvin. If they sold the whole collection and it, like, put them through college and they got their dream job, more power to them. Great for you. You know, I'm glad that I could help you that way. But, like, if I knew I was going to be going soon, and there's a couple of young Fleury collectors out there, I'd be like, okay, I need to find a way to get these cards, these kids or these younger people that will love them as they grow up. Because to know you're getting buried with a card, I mean, I don't want to say that's selfish, but it sounds kind of selfish. Like, I mean, dumb. You know, like, anyways, I'm just going to leave it at that. Sorry. Anyways, go ahead, Mitch.
So for me, like, I've always felt like, you know, like I try not to be, like, too, like, dug into, like, my hobby, like, philosophy. So, like, my feeling is that I will keep them until I don't want them anymore. And I know that, like, that sounds kind of reductive, but, like, as long as I still want them, then I'll have them. But if that ever goes away, like, if I wake up tomorrow and I decide, like, you know, like, this isn't bringing me any happiness, then I could sell it. But I've liked them my whole life, and if that continues, I'd like to think I would keep them. But, you know, ultimately, like, I do eventually, like, want, like, kids and a family, and I feel like it would be very difficult to fight the temptation of, like, doing things for my children that, like, I could only do if I sell, like, high-end cards. That sounds like a very difficult thing to balance. So I don't know how I'll actually feel when I'm, like, in those positions, because I really love all my cards, but I don't want to say, like, I'll never sell them, because maybe when that happens, I'll, you know, have, like, a change of perspective, like, okay, maybe this is ridiculous to keep, like, these, like, pictures of athletes instead of, like, paying for my kids' college or something like that. So it really just depends, but I hope that I can keep them for a long time.
Can I make a suggestion? If you're able to get Al on when you start your little podcast, please ask him about that topic, because he's put that Agilna collection together while being married and having children. And so, and teaching, and it's no surprise to anybody, teachers do not get paid a lot of money compared to some other jobs, or maybe they do compared to other jobs. But I am very curious about that, because I get caught in thinking, man, when I get married and I have children, like, does that mean my collecting days are over? Because I spend, there's no way I could spend what I'm spending now if I had those other priorities. There's no way. I mean, I'd be able to buy, I'd be doing what Kelvin's doing. I'd be buying a card here and there from new releases, and that would be it. And so I'm very curious about his answer to that question, if you're able to go there with him when you have him on.
Yeah, I think Al would probably be like my dream first guest. So hopefully he's willing to do that. I'd like to think that right now, while I'm childless, I'm just loading up on it, and being irresponsible as much as I can. When I have kids, I'll have the cards already, and then I can be responsible with money instead of just.
You don't have to be that responsible.
Well, and Alex, I mean, your girl is young, but I mean, has that crossed your mind at all though? This start spending a little bit less, or is it still same as it always has been?
It's pretty similar to what it's always been, to be honest. Or it's tough because she was born during COVID, and this is when all the prices went up, and I feel like I've been spending more money, if that makes any sense. So you definitely have to find that balance, because like you said, hey, do I sell this card or put it through college, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the day-to-day spending, maybe I'll pull back a little bit, but I feel like it hasn't really, to be honest, changed much. I saw some guy in a wrestling group, and he posted, "Oh, I'm having a kid, I'm selling my whole collection." I'm thinking whoa, you're selling your entire collection? It's just not just a kid, but you could still spend money on other stuff other than, but it depends on your financial situation and all that. But I feel like if you have that right balance, you could still, buy stuff for your kid and buy stuff for yourself and pay your bills and stuff. There's room. People spend money on vacations. People spend money on. I don't buy anything except for cards. It's maybe wrestling tickets. That's my lavish spending. But if you can budget and everything, you can still make it work.
Right. Yeah, I think Mitch, there's plenty of collectors out there that would be happy to not only be on the podcast, but even share their answer to that question. Name is in here right now watching. He's got 3 kids, and he doesn't play or collect necessarily, but he collects all Indigenous players. You've got Asian card collector. He would be another one. He's got a family. I mean, I think that's a huge topic that I keep coming back to, thinking gosh, am I going to stop collecting, hate collecting, not be able to, all those things I worry about. But a guy told me years ago when I was working, I wanted to get a racing sim, which I've now sold, but it was not cheap. I don't know if I should do that, man. It's a lot of money. He goes, Matt, listen, when you have kids, you won't be able to do that stuff anymore, probably. So do it now. And I was like, all right, next day, ordered it. So I think card collecting is the same thing, for most of us that collect. If we don't have kids or a family at the time, do what you enjoy doing and then figure it out from there, So great question, man. Geez, we could talk about this for 3 hours, I think, for sure. Cool. Well, excited to see if you get that going here soon. And I know Al would love to do it. He was more than happy to come on here a couple of times when I had him on. So yeah, definitely do that. Let's wrap it up here. We each have a card that we'd like to talk about for a minute or two that we've added since, we didn't show one off necessarily with Billy because we were asking him questions and yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't have kids. Thank you for that advice. Yeah. So whoever wants to go for it. I'm going to go second to last because I definitely am not going last. We have somebody lined up for that one. But yeah, Alex or Kelvin, which one do you like to go?
I can go first. As you know, and I don't get a lot of cards shipped to my house because I get them shipped to a U.S. mailbox. But I had a couple cards come in from Canadian sellers. So I'll just show 2 really quick. This one is I'm not a big in the game collector, like the company in the game. But this player in particular, Alexei Cherepanov. So I don't know, a lot of people know who he is, but he was a Russian player, got drafted by the Rangers. He kind of fell in the draft, but still was like pretty. He was hyped a little bit. So he ended up passing away. He had like a heart issue, so he passed away before he could even play in the NHL. So he was like 18 or something like that. So it's kind of morbid, but I like getting his autographs. Everyone, like, if they come up cheap or whatnot. So this is not an autograph; it's just like a patch because it's from like those Russian jerseys, like the printed ones. It's out of 10. I think I showed the back, but it's just out of 10. It was pretty cheap, so I picked it up. And then the other one is from a set that I really liked. It was a low end 0506 Parkhurst. So this is what comes with the card, but it's a Octo jersey, so it comes with like the certificate. And this is the actual card. And this is the flyer, so it's Forsberg, Gagne, Premio, and Pikkinen. And then on the flip side is Crosby, Lemieux, Leclerc, and Eric Christensen.
Great,
not Marc-Andre Fleury. Are you kidding me now? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's
No,
great.
they definitely could have put him in there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. These were like chase cards from back then. I don't know like how often people pull them, like per case or whatever. But
Right.
I had pulled the Washington. I don't remember who the other team was on it, but it was like the Ovechkin one. I pulled that one years ago, and I ended up like selling or trading it. I kind of regret it because I would love to pair it with this one that I just bought. So maybe one day I'll look for it. And this one ended for like a lot cheaper than I thought. So yeah,
Cool.
Picked it up. Yeah.
I didn't
That's
even
all I
know
got.
those existed because that set has those gold out of 100, right? If I remember correctly.
Well,
Like-
the facsimile cards.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it. Those are because Tebow and Fleury both have a Penguins one of that, so it was fun to chase those down. Like another one of those like out of 100 cards that most people are like whatever. Like freaking impossible, man. When that one came up on ComC, I was like rushing to go buy it.
I added the Ovechkin this year, and thank you, Neem. I added the Ovechkin, the facsimile autograph one out of 100, like you said.
Yeah.
They do not pop up very often at all.
Right.
So very happy that I got that one.
Awesome. Cool cards, man. Thanks for sharing those.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go next. So I picked up some stature cards. I have the base portrait, the 99.
Very nice.
And I have the red to 25. Don't have the 1-on-1 because some crazy guy who also likes Brodeur beat me to it. And then I also have the regular base black out of 20. And then I have the blue out of 45 coming in. That's every non-auto Brodeur card of stature I have minus the 1-on-1 I lost.
Gotcha. Those cards are so beautiful, man. Holy smokes. So beautiful. I cannot get enough of those. Cannot get enough of those cards. All right. Geez. Yeah, I gotta go. I just gotta go with this one. I don't remember if I showed it on. When Billy was on? Did I show the black diamond card? I can't remember if I showed a picture of it to him.
No, you talked about getting it, but you didn't show it.
Okay, so I think this card scanned in better than it looks in person, and there's not very many cards. Alex, you and I have spent a lot of time scanning cards in.
Yep.
Every now and then you'll get one that you're like, ooh, like the pattern behind the foil looks awesome, but you'll never notice it because the foil is so shiny. Well, with the Band of Color card, I just think like because these are not this shiny in person because they're behind the card is like black, you know what I mean? So it's not doesn't pop. I think I was talking with Kelvin. It would have been really cool to see this be like a clear, like an acetate kind of window type thing, like to have them have more light bounce off them. But when I scanned this in, man, I was like, oh my gosh, this card is so freaking awesome. And
awesome.
And just like I was telling you, Mitch, I mean, I have a chase card from every set, and he's got plenty of cards. If you've seen like the autos and the diamond parallels and all that stuff, but this was like the card because I thought it just was so unique. I'd never seen anything like it. I love the design. don't care that he's in a Blackhawks uniform because his mask looks awesome. So that was a big one for me, man. It was just putting that post up a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago saying, hey, has anybody got any Marc-Andre Fleury? And this Max dude pops up, and there it is. And I got to give a shout out to Alex. He's a young Fleury collector. He saw it first. And obviously when you put up a post that you're looking, you always put like, hey, if the OP passes, I would like to take a look at this. So he was nice enough to let me know. And yeah, it was for a very affordable price. Kelvin and I talked about what we wanted to spend for that card of our player, and I told him exactly what that number was in US, and he was more than happy to say, okay, works for me. And then I found the group break of that card being pulled, so that was actually pretty cool to see. It was so funny. Oh, we've got a Marc-Andre Fleury, yay! Like he was like so not excited about it. I was like, dude, are you kidding me? But it was cool to see it actually pulled and put into the sleeve, and he showed it off on camera and did the little like the goal light that some of those Canadian hockey breakers do. And so yeah, cool to see the journey of it from the break to Max to me. And so yeah, it's in the display case now on the 4th shelf. Yeah, definitely not a top 2 shelf card. Don't, because he's in a Blackhawks uniform.
The font on the is that the same font from like the 101 that they use?
Oh, they have like the cursive like F.
Yeah,
that's I don't know. It might.
I think it's the same. Do I have a 101?
I have one.
Do I have one here? Like
I have.
It's
similar.
different. It's a little different.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's similar though.
Yeah.
Didn't he told me when I was talking to him that this is inspired by a Marvel card? Did they do this set, but it wasn't called Band of Color, I don't think, right? Because he said, I thought they did like a Thanos Black Diamond card that had all the diamonds like this, all the Infinity Stones in it. That's what he told me when we were talking one-on-one. So has anybody seen that card before? Like where this could have been inspired from?
I know there is Marvel, like they did a whole set of them of like different. I don't know the sets because I don't really follow it, but I definitely saw Marvel cards that had all the stones.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're numbered out of or anything, but.
Actually, wait, it might be the same. I do have a card that has the same.
I have this one still sitting here.
Yeah,
that I showed.
Now, hold on. Let's go.
Like the of.
It looks it's
like a little more like like a little slanted, but
it's
Kelvin. What about you?
Mine's I don't know if you can see.
Well, that's Panini though, but it is
that's Panini, but
yeah, they stole the same font.
Well, yeah, that's
actually
it's very similar.
Yeah,
the one on the Panini card looks closer to the Band of Color one because it's
they use the same company to color cards, right?
So.
Oh, okay. Mitch, were you going to chime in there because you've well, speaking of that, can we segue? Yeah. Can we just segue right on to Mitch?
Sure,
right
perfect.
Now?
Yeah, what a good segue.
I can't think of a better segue than that.
Well, so, I picked up a few cards this week. Do you just want me to show that one card?
No, go ahead. You can do what you want, man.
Everything.
Do everything. Yeah.
So I do want to show this card off, and it's kind of in the same vein as the first card that Alex showed. This is a Luc Bourdon Future Watch patch with 5 colors, which is pretty difficult.
So jealous. I'm not gonna
lie. This card I thought was very cheap. I found it on Facebook, and Bourdon collectors are crazy. So for those that don't know, Bourdon was another player who was I think he was a first round pick. I could be wrong about that. I think he was a first round pick.
I believe he was, yeah.
Yeah. And he died in a motorcycle accident, I believe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe he even has any like game use cards, which I could also be wrong about. But I think he only
I don't think he does.
Yeah, I think he only has rookie cards. So Canuck collectors or just hockey fans in general just go crazy for Bourdon stuff because it's rare because he unfortunately did not live very long. So I saw that card. I even though I don't really buy rookie cards, I appreciate the significance of this card in particular. I also need Luc Bourdon as one of the cards I need for my 06-07 Cup Signature Patch set. So I would definitely trade this card for one of those if the opportunity arose. I think this card is probably better, but I am absolutely desperate for finishing my set. So hopefully I can lure one out. And then I also wanted to show
Yeah.
But he was a guy who I just didn't have any nice Messier cards in my collection, so I saw that one and it was very cheap, so I had to get it. Okay, so I'll show you guys. All right, before actually the card I said I was gonna, I can't not show these cards off either.
Show everything off. Go for it.
Because these are from another set I'm working on, 0405 Ultimate patch autograph out of 50. So I got the 2 biggest cards in the whole set from the same guy. They're both Wayne Gretzky. One is a All-Star patch, and the other one is a Kings patch. The crazy thing about 0405 Ultimate, so that was a lockout year, so there weren't really many rookie cards. Like, this set actually did have rookie cards in it, but they're like all guys that you've like never heard of. Like the amount of Gretzky memorabilia in this set is actually disgusting and probably irresponsible. Like, they put 5 Gretzky shields in this product, which was not a smart allocation of Gretzky shields. And like they have All-Star patches, they have Kings patches, they have Rangers patches, they have Oilers patches, which is extremely rare. He has a this card, but Oilers. These are extremely rare, and that card's out of 5. So they put so many Gretzky cards into that product. So these are by far the 2 biggest for this set. There's only 29 cards, so I was extremely happy to knock these ones off. So I still need like 11 more to finish that up. Okay, and now I'll show the biggest card that I got.
Okay, so, guys, we got to go. Nice to talk to y'all.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. Peace.
Yeah.
So I'll give you guys the story before I show it. So I don't know about you guys, but I refresh my save searches on eBay maybe 50 times a day. Yeah, 405 Ultimate is one of my favorite sets ever. I am constantly refreshing my save eBay searches, like, because if a card gets listed and it gets sniped in like 5 minutes and I don't see it, I get very upset. So I'm just constantly refreshing it. And then I saw this card, and it's not a card, like I don't have any other cards from this year of this set. It's a 101, so they're extremely hard to find. But I know what other ones have sold for, and I know what similar cards of this player have sold for, and I knew that this card was underlisted. So I immediately clicked buy it now, which I very rarely do. I love to haggle, but I knew that if I didn't, someone else was going to do it. So I bought the card, and then I just posted on Instagram, like on my story, I was like, just got like a huge card, and then like 5 people DM me within like 10 minutes, like, was it this card? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, I was just about to buy it. Or like 3 people were like DMing the seller, trying to buy this card. So I knew I was right that the card was undervalued because a bunch of other people wanted to buy it at this price. Mm-hmm. So I bought. I was so excited. And then so that was at like 2 p.m. my time. And then at like 8 p.m. my time, I get an eBay message like, oh, we didn't mean to list it for $1,500. We actually meant to list it for $4,500. So sorry. We'll give you a $200 credit for another purchase from us. And then I messaged like a couple of people who like deal with high-end cards a lot more than I do. And I was like, what would you do in this situation? And they basically like all were like, tell them to kick rocks. So I replied like, I think my reply was like, with all due respect, like I believe the sale should be honored. I tried to like not be too contentious about it. They never replied. They canceled the order. And then I think like I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just never getting this card, which sucks. I think they did the wrong thing. Nothing I can do. And then the next day, a good friend of mine, Porco Sports Cards on Instagram, he DM'd me and said, "Hey, I found that card because it was being sold through a consignment company, but the person who actually owned it also posted it on Facebook. Maybe you shouldn't have. I mean, that's probably not what you're supposed to do when you consign a card. But so he posted it on Facebook in a group, like some small group, like I'm not in. It's like not a hockey group. It was like a mixed sports group that he found, and then he sent it. I DM'd him. I told him what happened. The guy was like, "Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I can't do anything about what the consignment company did. I wrote 4,500 and listed it for 1,500. But he's like, but I'll tell you what, like, I do 7 figures of business with them every year. I'll sell this card to you for 2,300. And I went back and forth that number. I was like, okay, now it's not such a great deal. But I also thought like, this is like a kind of card where, I mean, it's a 101, and obviously if I don't get this, like I'll never get it. And it's also the kind of card that I think will always appreciate. So that kind of gave me the confidence. Like maybe 2,300 is a little high for it, but it's only I just the demand for it can't really decrease in my opinion because so I'll show the card and then I'll explain like why I think it's so significant. So it's a Patrick Waugh 0607, the Cup Black Patch 101 autograph.
Unbelievable.
And for those that don't know, this is the second year of the Cup, and in the first year of the Cup, the 101 patch autographs are sticker autographs. I don't know exactly why, but all of them are sticker autographs. So this is the first time that they were ever on-card autographs for these types of cards. I also think they're still undervalued. I know that a Patrick Waugh limited logos with a crazy patch recently sold for $2,200. So to me, this card is better than limited logos, even with the one color patch. And I'm probably less upset about the patch than most people would be because I mostly collect patches. I'm always extremely cautious about fake patches. So when I see a card like this, it's a 101. I know there aren't any better ones. I know that this is real. The other cool thing, like at least with Avalanche cards, is that they kind of have like a design within the patch. I don't know if the camera can really capture it, but it still is like, yeah. So it still has like a design to it. Like if I was
There
like,
it is.
yeah, if I was like some sleazy eBay seller, I could call it 2-color. But at least it's like more interesting than like this Gretzky that's like just clearly just plain white,
Right.
which I still don't care about because I know it's real. So that's my big pickup. People keep DMing me about it, and I feel bad saying no because there are probably people that like would appreciate the card more than me. But I like that's I don't know if you guys ever deal with that. Like you have a card that you don't want to sell, but you know someone wants the card more than you. Like there were 2 guys that messaged me that had like just the most ridiculous Patrick Waugh collections I've ever seen. Neither of them are on Instagram, but they sent me like 100 like amazing Patrick Waugh cards, and they're like, "Please let me acquire this card for you." And I said no.
Nope.
Yeah, but I don't know if you guys ever like have like some kind of like moral conflict with yourself because you know that you could never love this card as much as someone like that. I don't know.
It depends on the card, and like you said, they have all these Waughs, and it's like, I'm sorry, man, but you can't have them all. You know what I mean? There's a point. Like, I don't know. I just feel like even with like lower players that I collect, I can't have everything. I'm not gonna like, oh please, I need to have this card. Nobody owes me anything, so if I get it, great. If I don't, I could try my hardest to get it, but like I'm not gonna make someone feel bad or have the sob story.
I think it's all about how you approach it too. You know, if it's just like I collect Patrick Waugh and I want everything of him, I want this card. If that was Fleury, and I said, Mitch, dude, I've had this on as my number one want. Like, I never thought I'd ever see this card. I can't believe there it is. Do you think down the road we could talk or whatever? And then I were to talk about why I love collecting Marc-Andre Fleury and why that card is my number one. I think if I were to get that angle from a person, not for Fleury, but for like a Tebow or something that I owned, I'm like, you know what? I'm actually considering it. And that's why Jeremy moved the card to me that he did. I think that approach is the way to go. The whole, like, look at every single amazing card I have. I want this card. It's like you said, Alex, like, well, okay, well, you have all those too, but why is this one significant beyond a 101? Right.
Especially sorry to cut you off, but especially that card, like it's kind of what we were talking about earlier, where if you were to sell that card to, I'm not saying, I don't know the people that are wanting it, but like if you sell it to someone, you know, that's now like that card is probably gone from the territory that you buy it from. Like people are going to try to transact that for like, you know, like way higher than you paid. And like, you know, then you can't even, not that you're trying to get that back ever, but like that's in the whole different stratosphere now. So
yeah,
if that was you, I'm keeping that baby.
Yeah, that's the plan.
I mean, it'd be interesting too, though. Like if that one, sorry, can you remind me that card out of 4 that you still want really bad from the Cup?
Yeah, it's John Beliveau 0506 the Cup honorable numbers.
Okay, so let's say the Beliveau comes up, right? And the best way of you getting it is moving that Waugh to get it. Would that be something that would make you consider it? If that was like the only way you could get it?
Yeah, so like.
Oh.
Did we have a Kelvin moment with them? That's a great shot too, by the way.
I know.
I was talking to Kelvin.
To tell us how we're wrong.
Yeah.
Kelvin had one when we were talking on Sunday where he's like this, you're like, you know, and I screenshot it. So that's awesome. So of course, it has to happen live. I'm so sorry, Mitch. Well, we're wrapping up, getting close to 2 hours here. Are you back, Mitch? Are you there? Yes. Okay.
Sorry, I don't know why my internet just like went out.
It's all good.
What did oh yeah. So like I usually I don't want to sell a card, but I'll tell them like if you can trade me something I like more than this, then I'll do that. So Beliveau, absolutely. I would trade this card plus like 4 other amazing cards for that card.
Okay.
No question.
Okay. There's definitely a limit for all of you. Good.
Yeah.
Kelvin's just sitting over there like, yeah, none of these Pro Tours are going anywhere. Yeah, no chance.
No one has tried. I mean, one person tried before. I was just like, no, thank you. But no one has approached me, though, so.
All right. Yeah, I think we all get those messages. I shared that one with you guys the other day. That was funny. Hi, I'm interested in your cars. And said, yeah, me too. Enjoy looking at them. Like, me too. I like them like a lot. That's great that you're interested in them. Like, does this strategy work with other people? Like,
I'm sure it does. I had one guy, so he was actually, I think he does like, he's in like that what's that when you buy into a card, like that new thing, like when you could buy a share of a card. Yeah. So I think he's like involved in all that stuff, but he's one of the guys who bought like one of those big LeBron like exquisites like a couple years ago for like whatever $1 million. He like messaged me once. He's like, "Hey, are you thinking of selling your Bargnani a superfractor from like 0809 tops?" I was like, "Nah, I'm good, man." He's like, "What if I give you like $500-$600 for it?" And I'm just like, and I looked at what I paid. I paid like $50 at the time, and I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." Like $500-$600, like that's nothing for him. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, and I'd rather have the car than sell it to you for $500-$600, especially knowing you just bought a LeBron for like $2.something million.
He's not gonna love that card. Well, he's probably gonna remember he bought it 2 weeks later. Maybe,
you'll have no clue.
We always joke on the Essential Credentials that there's a price for everything, and we all joke like if somebody walked up, knocked on the door, and said, "I have a briefcase of $1 million that, or you know, whatever. Can I walk out of here with your cards?" I would be like, "All but one of them, yes." you'd have to keep one, right? But yeah, let's hope that never happens. I don't know, man. Like, you can't put a price on sentimental value sometimes. So cool. Well, this was another fun one, guys. I hope everybody that was watching live enjoyed it. Always fun talking cards with y'all. Artifacts tomorrow, which I know Kelvin will be grabbing every brodeur that comes out of that. So good luck to Kelvin on the rainbow chase. Yeah, really excited to see the cup release and excited to see what we get when it comes to a checklist from Metal Universe 2. We're all anxiously awaiting that. Well, maybe Kelvin and I more than others, but that'll be fun too. And we'll catch you next week. Have a great week, everybody. See ya. Awesome.